name is Shannon Hayes and you're watching yet another homegrown video from grassfedcooking.com. Today we're going to be cooking kebabs, and I am not talking about those mamby-pamby super tender kebabs that you're going to buy in an expensive gourmet food store that are cut from the filet mignon or from the sirloin. I'm talking about the real thing, those lusty, juicy kebabs that you have to tear with your teeth, and that if they're nice and rare, the bloody juice will go running down your chin when you feast on them, and they'll be full of great beefy flavor. That's the kebab I want. And they come from the budget cuts on the animal. They come from the top round and the sirloin tip. That's what we're going to be working with today. The top round meat and the sirloin tip meat give you the best of both worlds because they have a lot more flavor intensity like you would get from a tougher cut, but they're more tender than a tough cut. They're not as tender as a piece of filet mignon, so you do have to chew, but that's not a bad thing. Chewing prolongs the cephalic phase of digestion, which is the time when you see and you smell and you taste your food, so of course that also prolongs your enjoyment of the meat. But it also helps to increase the production of saliva in your mouth, which increases the production of digestive enzymes in your stomach. And that's all good stuff. It's especially good when you're working with the chewer cuts to keep them rare, because then all that juice helps to make up for that chewiness, that nice jaw exercising that you're doing. And in addition, the rare meat is easier for your stomach to digest. So our goal today is going to be rare, chewy, lusty kebabs that are going to make me so happy because right now I'm very hungry. You'll notice as I spear the kebabs on that these are actually pretty big pieces of meat. They're about 1.5 inches cubed, as opposed to stew meat, which is usually 1 inch cube. And they cannot be confused with stew meat because stew meat is cut from the brisket, it's cut from the chuck, and it contains a lot of connective tissue. And if you put it out on the grill and use a dry heat method to cook it, that connective tissue is not going to break down, and that stew meat is going to be like shoe leather. If you want something that's just tender enough that you can use your canines and rip with and have a good bite of meat, but not so tough that you feel like you're gnawing on a pair of hiking boots, this is the cut that you want. You'll notice here that this cut has actually had a sliver made down inside of it, just like this, and it's broken up. And this piece of kebab meat was butterflied, and that butterfly cut enables the kebab to pick up more of the marinade mixture. If you're looking for this marinade recipe, by the way, you can find it at the website grassfedcooking.com in the article called Kabobs. But quite frankly, I don't want the marinade to be too powerful on the meat. I want to showcase the beef flavor, because that's what you get when you work with the top round or the sirloin tip. You get more intense beef flavor. So I want the marinade to accent it, but I don't want it to overpower it, which is why I will only marinate these cuts for a couple of hours. I won't do the 24-hour marinade that some people do. Some people like to marinate their meat for 48 hours, for a week. So I don't recommend doing that. So now these cubes are on the kebab skewers. I have a little kid in front of me who's very hungry, and we're going to go out to the grill, and I'll show you quickly how to grill these so that they're nice, juicy, and absolutely full of flavor. Okay, here we are out at the grill. I'm dumping out the coals, and as you can see, when I dump out the coals, I'm only dumping them on one side of my grill. I'm not dumping them over the whole thing. That helps me to conserve coals, but it also gives me the ability to do more indirect cooking, which is critical to maintaining the good texture in the meat. I'm just going to straighten these coals out a little bit. Then I want to put my grate on for a second and let it heat up. I'm going to test it. Okay, this is still a little bit cool. It needs a little bit more time. You see how I'm holding my hand about 4 inches above the grate? I need to be able to hold it there for no more than 4 seconds for me to know that grate is hot enough to sear the kebabs. While that's heating up, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to actually blot these kebabs dry. And the reason that I'm blotting them dry is because we want a nice sear on the surface of the meat. And when the meat touches the grate, when it gets right near the flames, we need the meat to be as dry as possible, because if it's moist, then it's going to steam and it won't get a nice sear on it. We want it to be dry so that it'll be nicely browned. Check and see if we're ready. Okay, that's a hot grate. So I'm going to put these blotted dry kebabs right on the fire side of the grill. I'm blotting dry my second skewer here. Spreading out the meat a little bit better. And then I'm going to cover the grill, and I'm going to time this for about 2 minutes. And while that happens, I'm going to sit and look at the beautiful scenery. Okay, we have now completed 2 minutes of searing on the first side. All I'm going to do is flip these kebabs over, and I don't know if you can get close up on that, but you'll see, if you look right here, you're getting a nice sear, and you'll actually pick up more of that sear color when we do our indirect cook. So now that I flipped them over, I'm going to cover it again, and we're going to wait 2 more minutes before we switch to indirect cooking. Okay, 2 minutes is up again, and now we're going to do the very simple step of taking these kebabs. See how they're nicely seared on the outside. They're not done yet. See, when you poke them, they're still pretty soft. We're going to give them some indirect cook time by moving them to the side of the grill that is as far from the flames as possible. And once we get over there, I'm going to cover it again, and we're going to give them 5 minutes of indirect cook time. And that indirect cook time is very important in finishing off the meat because it brings them up to a doneness that you like. I like bloody rare, as you will see. But it also slows the contraction of the muscle fibers because it's a reduced heat area. And when you slow the contraction of the muscle fibers, you keep more of the juice inside the meat, but you also keep those muscle fibers loose. They don't get so tough that it's like chewing shoe leather. Remember, the goal with a good kebab is to use your canines and smile while you're chewing, but not to feel like you're gnawing on a pair of work boots. The other thing that's really important about the indirect cook time is it's going to give the sugars time to caramelize over the surface of the meat. So you notice when we pull them off the grill, they're going to have this beautiful glistening shine on them. Okay, 5 minutes is up and we're ready to take these kebabs off the grill. I'm very hungry and I have 2 children who are on a bit of a strike right now because they want to eat. So as you'll see now, as these kebabs have come off, they've got some beautiful color from the grill, but they're nice and shiny because those sugars have caramelized over the surface of the meat. And we're going to take them over and slice into them, and hopefully they'll be nice and juicy and pink. You're hungry, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That one is a medium well. That's not as pink as I'd like it. But I know Bob's going to like that, and Saoirse's going to love it.
Especially if it's burnt.
Yeah.
Can I take that piece right now?
Go ahead.
No, it's hot. Sweet.
Give it a second, you'll see the blood on the surface. I don't know. Can you pick that up? I don't know if the camera can pick that up, but you see you've got a nice juicy piece of meat there. The muscle fibers are not overly contracted. They're loose. So we've made this cut as tender as we can make it using this method. And if you want this recipe, which is for shish kebabs in a balsamic tamari marinade, you can also find that at my website, grassfedcooking.com. You can also find more tips on how to grill by checking out Farmer in the Grill. And if you want this specific recipe and more information about it, you can also check out my newest cookbook due out in 2012, Long Way and a Little. You see here, I've got a hungry kid in the background, so it's time for us to eat. Well, I suppose I could eat these with a knife and fork, but this is so satisfying to just rip into it with my teeth. These are really good.
How are they?
Yeah, they're great.
Willow, what do you think?
Yum! Yummy! Yum!